Let's turn to Pakistan now, where there are now fears of acute food shortages after the series of devastating floods have led to just over 1,200 deaths. Pakistan's climate change minister said the floods have destroyed 45% of Pakistan's croplands. Our correspondent Pumza Fihlani reports from Dadu, that's close to the Indus River.
Finally on safe ground, but Kareem is injured. It takes a group of people to carefully help her out of the boat. She's shaken and disoriented.
One of the walls fell on my leg. I was stuck there and couldn't move for days. I've lost everything. I thought I was going to die.
Kareem is then treated by medics. Officials say 80% of Dadu is already underwater and it's spreading to more villages. People need saving and there isn't much time. The military, aid agencies and villagers are all part of a frenzy to evacuate those stranded. We join them.
Just look at all this water. It's like being in the middle of the ocean, except just over there are people's houses, and there are many more in far-flung communities, and the water levels here in Dadu are rising, and officials say around 250,000 people are at risk of drowning unless they can get them out to safety.
After some time searching, we come across a village. Tens climb on board, but not everyone can make the trip. Some have left relatives behind.
I left everyone behind, but I'm worried because I don't know when the next boat will arrive and when I'll be able to return to them. But I have to go and find food for us. We are going hungry.
On our way to dry land, we come across more people and pick them up. They've been in the water for hours. 3 boats had gone past them in a rush to get to other villages. For one of the men, help came too late.
Our friend drowned just moments before you arrived. He slipped and he was swept away. We couldn't save him. He's gone.
In other parts of Dadu, families who've lost their homes are sleeping on the roadside. Some do not even have tents, let alone food. And it's all become too much. Our children are hungry, she says. We're not getting any food. Why is no one helping us? The water is coming from all sides, from the overflowing Indus River and the mountains in the north. And in the middle of it all are people growing more desperate by the day. Pumza Fihlani, BBC News, Dadu.
Well, let's talk to our correspondent Tahab Asghar, who's in Islamabad. And Tahab, I know you're in Islamabad now, but you have been to some of the worst affected areas. There are so many emergency appeals going out for help from around the world. What is the latest on any progress in getting help?
Well, the appeal is going on, but the problem is that people are still complaining, actually, who are suffering from the flood. They're complaining about the fact that they're not getting relief work. And on the other hand, the government is saying that we're trying to provide every kind of relief to people. But the current situation is that they're also saying that we want to rescue people first, and then we want to provide them relief. But I have traveled to South Punjab, and what I witnessed that I visited Kohe Suleiman range, and when I went there, I went with the administrative people there, because it is quite difficult for a common man to reach there. So the private NGOs and the private people, they are also unable to reach there. So I went with the administration people. When I went there, the people who were suffering from the flood, they actually told me that we got for the first time we're getting relief after 27 days. The ways were blocked and roads has been destroyed, and the problem there was that is quite a hilly area, so they were facing floods and landsliding. So they destroyed their houses are completely destroyed. They're sitting under the sky. I spoke to a woman who actually told me that I just want tent. I don't want food because I have 4 young daughters. I want their safety. literally I'm sitting under the sky on a mountain. So these kind of horrible stories I have been listening to, and not only this, they're actually complaining about the fact that we're not getting help, and these people, the administration, just reached after 27 days.
That is incredible, Tab. Some of the stories and the widespread scale of this is just so hard to get one's head around. And the fact that the water in some places is still coming, water and mudslides coming down already flooded rivers.
Yeah, it is still coming down, and the major problem is that the authorities have issued another alert, actually, because in September, in this month, we are expecting another wave of flood, because we are expecting more rains in South Punjab and Sindh. And not only this, the glaciers are melting because of temperature getting very high. Even when we were there, it was quite high temperature, and it was extremely difficult to work there as well. And people were actually telling about this, that we are unable to survive under the sky because of the heat, because we don't have food. And they were actually traveling for 4 hours to reach down to get something to eat. So these kind of problems are still there. Water is rising, but most of the parts it is also going down, but another spell that is expected in September that may cause more problem for these areas.
Tahab, thank you very much. Tahab Asghar there from Islamabad. Thank you very much for telling us about what's going on.